Next on Worcester News tonight, markets are gearing up for the holiday weekend, and many are busier this year as the Stop and Shop strike is sending more shoppers their way. Plus, a monument missing for decades is found, but how it ended up in someone's backyard is a mystery. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brittany Schaefer. It's a warm spring day here in Worcester County with temperatures hitting the 70s. We saw cloudy skies and wind most of the day as rain moves in tonight. For more, let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Kelly for a first look at our local forecast.
Nice day here, but a monster of a storm. Look at this coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, cutting right across Florida, eastern Georgia, the Carolinas. Severe weather outbreak from South Florida all the way to Virginia. Tornadoes, heavy rain, flooding. Now this is gonna weaken as it comes at us. We had sunny breaks, 70s today, rain and snow mixed north of Toronto. The forecast this evening, wind, mild, muggy, temperatures are holding in the 60s. Raindrops come in, 11 o'clock, it's starting to rain or a real heavy drizzle. Temperatures not getting much below 60 overnight tonight. We have some wind gusts past 35 miles per hour. Waking up to thick clouds and scattered showers, which are going to turn to downpours and maybe a thunderstorm. Not expecting a lot of damaging thunderstorms, but there could be some isolated wind damage with a thunderstorm. This is a rough estimate coming through between 1 and 2 o'clock, then maybe a little lull, and then maybe some more action tomorrow night. Good news, drier air comes in our Easter forecast in a few minutes.
The warm weather bringing a lot of people outdoors to the city's parks. Families were out enjoying the water views at Shore Park this afternoon. The grills were in use for a picnic and kids were playing in the sand. Worcester resident Amir Zanjanian says him and his family have waited a long time for a beach day.
We were actually waiting for this time more than 6 or 7 months to actually, come here and enjoy the environment, the nice and beautiful environment we have right now in Worcester.
Zanjanian says being outdoors, enjoying nature is a great way to spend his son's school vacation. Today is day 9 of the Stop and Shop strike. It's costing the company millions in revenue. Meanwhile, other local markets are busy because of the Easter holiday this weekend. Our Roslyn Flaherty joins us live now with the latest. Roslyn?
Brittany, other markets are seeing an increase in customers for Easter because of the strike, and Stop and Shop workers say they aren't sure when this is going to come to an end. It's one of the busiest times of the year at Emerald Meats in Worcester.
This is a pretty big holiday for us.
Owner Joan Culpert says they fill about 700 orders, and preparing for Easter takes weeks.
3 weeks before Easter, we start taking, orders by telephone or people walk in. So just taking the orders is the first step. Pre-ordering everything.
This year, they've seen even more people coming in because of the Stop and Shop strike.
We did get phone calls asking, did we sell Boar's Head Deli? So at first we didn't notice, and then we were getting, more calls, and then we kind of put 2 and 2 together.
It's day 9 of the strike. Grafton Street worker Tammy Clark says she can't believe it has lasted this long.
They would have ended this a long time ago. They could have ended this. This could have ended. None of us want to be out here. They choose to keep us out here. They're choosing to have the customers go elsewhere for their holiday dinner.
She says the deli isn't even open inside the supermarket.
It shows you how much they're valuing the customers as much as they value us.
An emotional Clark says she's worked at the store for 15 years and raised 3 children with the income from the job. She plans on striking on Easter Sunday, but doesn't know what the future holds.
Do I go apply for food stamps? Do I take it from people that, can't work? I'm quite capable of working. They're just choosing to not let me.
Now, Stop and Shop says negotiations are continuing and say their primary goal remains to get employees back to work with a contract that has pay increases, health benefits, and pension contributions. Live in Worcester, Roslyn Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Christians worldwide are observing Good Friday today. In Worcester, hundreds gathered at St. John's Church for the Stations of the Cross. The crowd walked the streets of Worcester to reenact the suffering Christians believe Jesus endured for the forgiveness of all sins. Bishop Robert McManus says Good Friday is a powerful day in the Catholic faith, and it's great to see Worcester come together every year.
It's just a tremendous day of reflection, thinking about our own sinfulness, how Christ has gone to the cross and raised from the dead for our salvation. And so it's a rather meditative, somber, but important day in the life of the church. And we probably, in the course of the afternoon, will have, in the course of the 14 stations, there'll be 500 people in the procession. So it's a great sign of their faith.
Joseph Cujo was among the hundreds walking the Stations of the Cross. He has been a member of St. John's Church for 5 years after moving here from Ghana. He says Good Friday means a lot to him.
He sacrificed his life for us. It's for us to receive him, and we will be glorified. This shows the unity and understanding of Christ. It's been about 2,000 years, and we still follow this tradition. And this tradition means a lot to us because we know it's the truth.
Ann McManus says Friday and Saturday are known as somber days in the Catholic faith until Easter Sunday celebrates Jesus' resurrection. A monument from a cemetery in Hubbardston was missing for more than 70 years, but not anymore. The Historical Commission says it was found in a residence yard and no one knows exactly how it got there. Our Chandler Walsh joins us live now to explain. Chandler?
Brittany, the commission says the monument was found a short drive away from the cemetery where it originally stood, and so far they haven't been able to find any relatives of the family it belongs to. The Hubbardston Historical Commission is trying to figure out how a monument from the 1800s ended up in the backyard of a Main Street home.
There is a rumor that a Halloween prank, it was stolen and left on the town common.
Chairman Gary Kangas says the marble monument is a grave marker for the Earl family. It has names on 3 sides, and the earliest date is 1829.
The property owner, he said the previous owner found this way out in the woods here and was dragged in the backyard, and it was here when he bought the house.
James Jackson has lived in town for more than 40 years and says this isn't the first time monuments have been taken or needed to be replaced.
That Civil War one, when we moved to town, had heard the story of the brass eagle. You know, that at one time it was a brass or bronze eagle that adorned the top. And that too, at some point, I don't know exactly when, but it was taken as supposed prank.
Lou Gagney has found all kinds of pieces of Hubbardston history with his metal detector.
I do it all the time, everywhere, anywhere that I can to dig up anything historical.
He says the area is full of artifacts, and he's glad the town now knows about the monument. Kangas says the original was replaced after it went missing from Forest Hill Cemetery decades ago.
A lot of vandals in cemeteries these days, and even people steal gravestones and use them for coffee tables. I've heard of that kind of accounts.
The original monument is missing an urn from the top. Kangas says they plan to go back into the woods and search for it.
We're trying to track down any of the family that may still be alive, that if they want the monument, or what do we do with it?
Kangas says the monument is too heavy for one person to move on their own. They're keeping it at the Main Street home until they can connect with the Earl family. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Democrats are using their subpoena power to demand the unredacted Mueller report while debating among themselves how far to push their own investigations. The White House is claiming total exoneration, downplaying the many questions raised by the report. While Mueller did not accuse President Donald Trump of any criminal wrongdoing, the report details repeated attempts to impede the investigation. For some Democrats, it's renewing the talks of impeachment.
Because this is what we got. This is a big part of what the American people got, and we deserve more. We deserve the full report.
We certainly need to continue the investigative work to determine, are there other ways this president is compromised, or are there other offenses that rise to the level of removal from office?
Trump tweeting in response Friday, saying the statements in the report are fake. He goes on to say this was an illegally started hoax that never should have happened. Here in central Massachusetts, a political science professor is saying it may be too early to call for the president's impeachment. She says it would be difficult to get the numbers to remove President Trump from office. Our Olivia Lemon has more. Olivia?
Brittany, the report outlines 10 areas of possible obstruction, including multiple attempts to fire Mueller. However, President Trump is not facing any charges, but that's not stopping some Democrats from calling for his impeachment. A day after the redacted version of the Mueller report goes public, the House Judiciary Committee is taking steps to get the full unredacted report, and some Democrats are calling for impeachment.
I think calling for impeachment is a bit premature because it would not just take a majority in the House to bring forward impeachment hearings, but you'd also have to have 2/3 of the Senate approve convict in an impeachment trial.
Political science professor Erica Cornelius-Smith says it would be tough to get 2/3 of the Senate to convict the president and suggests lawmakers should focus on broader issues like preventing further intrusions into future elections.
Most Americans in the middle, I think, are really concerned about the security of our elections and these longer term issues. We haven't really talked about what we've learned in terms of Russian hacking and how we're going to prevent that in 2020.
Some in Worcester Friday say they would like to see the full report before passing judgment.
I think it should be a public knowledge, like what went down, and it's better that people know.
I would prefer to have a unredacted version, although I do understand there are national security concerns involved.
I feel like the public has a right to know about what's going on in the White House.
Meanwhile, Professor Smith says the next steps are up to Congress, which means it's all far from over.
We could talk about Congress's oversight role and their authority to continue the investigation, which elements they want to continue to investigate, because they do have a constitutional role to go ahead and exercise oversight.
Now, President Trump's legal team does have a counter report prepared, but they have not decided whether or not they want to release it. Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
Members of Worcester's Joe DiMaggio Little League are concerned the sale of the former Our Lady of Mount Carmel property could end their operations. This online petition has nearly 300 signatures and is hoping to prevent the Little League from disbanding. The ball field is right next to the church, but is part of the property being sold. The church's preservation group says a developer has been chosen and Mount Carmel could be demolished soon. The petition was started when the church first closed in 2016 and was reopened this week.